me tell you a secret.
Hi friends, it's Udhaya from Backyard Garden Highlights. Hope you guys are doing great today. Today I have come to Lowe's and they have already loaded with all the annuals and perennial flowers and vegetable seeds. So let's get into the video and see easy to grow flower seeds that any beginner gardener that they want to start gardening for the first time or first few years. These seeds will definitely make you feel proud and successful. So let's dive into what those easy growing annuals or perennial seeds that we have in big box stores now. I will start with yarrow, and this is also called as echelia. This is a perennial flower seeds. You would really enjoy the bloom, clusters of bloom, and they are very tough plant. So once you establish in the garden, technically you'll feel like you have to put a lot of seedlings. They aggressively self-seed, but if you are having a lot of space where you want to make an impactful gardening with the beautiful different colors of flowers, this is certainly one good flower and easy to grow. They just do fine if you sow them directly in the soil now, and they just take over sometime in March, April, and you can also winter sow them. And this is once established, as I said, like they will not leave you unless you pull them out of the ground. It's a tough plant and they come back every year and they bloom in the first year itself. So it's a pretty good flower and it's a great filler for your cut flower arrangement. If you have like dahlia or rose that you want to fill the flower vase with some nice filler flower, this will do really great with filler flower. And let me also talk about quickly on the plant profile for yarrow. It grows up to 20 to 30 inches, but in my garden they grow really bigger than that. I think if the soil is fully with nitrogen, they grow really bushy kind of thing. You need to provide a soil with less nitrogen because you want more of flowers than the leaf. They actually encroach the raised bed if you have limited space, so keep that in mind. They almost stay as evergreen around end of January and February. That's the only month they don't really look great. Otherwise, they look pretty good throughout almost 10 months in your garden. Even the leaves, if you trim them, they grow as a nice evergreen in your garden when they are not in bloom. So pretty good plant. The next one we have is gold alyssum. This is another pretty flower and they grow in a round mounded shape and pretty awesome, but I have been not able to get them year after year successfully. Maybe they are short perennial, like they did well for 2 years and then they died when the summer hits. I think they need maybe consistent moist soil, which I don't really keep up for my raised bed, sunny raised bed. So they die actually and they did not come back. So 2 years or 3 years they survive and then they die, but they will really reward you with beautiful golden color if you have combining them with dianthus. They just look amazing and you can do this as a border planting or you can just do in a container as a filler plant. But this is one of the amazing plant I really loved. You don't even see the leaf actually. Once they bloom, you will really see how you see in the packet. It will be fully covered with the flower plant, grow up to I think 12 inches. So it's a small plant but pretty good for your border planting. Really amazing plant. Alright, so what I have next? Black eye Susan. So the black eye Susan is another plant you will never regret planting in your garden if you want to have less effort spent on a gardening schedule. They self-seed aggressively like yarrow. And let's quickly take a look at the plant profile. It grows up to 2 to 3 feet tall, so it's a pretty good tall plant. So it's not like front, you need to plant them maybe middle or in the back, depends on what height you have in your garden raised bed. I use them in a border planting against chicken wire, and they really did amazing. And it's not fully 100% deer proof in my opinion. In at least in my garden area, they do bother them initial months, but later months like July, August, when the deer get other feast from other area, they don't bother black tie Susan. And it's perennial based on the plant tag, but I have never seen my plant come back next year. The plant actually dies, but what happens in the garden is I get hundreds of free seedlings in the same area, and I just share some of them with Facebook friends and some of them with nearby garden friends. Leave the remaining in my border area so the plant thrives there. And this is one of the plant, if you want to sow them during fall, you will have a early bloom in around April, May, I think around May, because they survive the winter also. So the plant survives the winter if you sow them in fall, but if you sow them now, they will just do great around June. You will get a nice bloom. And I do successive planting because this bloom tolerates light frost. I have seen blooming around November, December time frame. You will see at least few. So if you plant them around June, July, you may get another flush. Like if you want to see fresh bloom for your cut flower garden, or you want to enjoy another successive bloom cycle from this plant, you can just take the seed pod from the one you just sowed in the summer, and once they are ready, you can just use that seed, and you will get thousands of seeds. So once you buy this packet, you don't have to spend any more money throughout your life if you preserve the seeds. You just take the seed head and keep them in a dry and cooler place like basement or some area. So that's a pretty good plant, but self-aggressive, so you need to be aware of that. If you are planting in a space, you don't want to see lot of volunteer plants coming in. So I think this is one of the easiest ever flowering plant that will have continuous bloom throughout the summer, and if you trim them, you get an even after frost. So amazing plant. I personally enjoy this flower because they are attractive even from long distance. They have a nice centered brownish dark maroon color in the center, and you will be able to enjoy this bloom at least from your front yard to backyard if you have the direct visibility. So such a nice plant. The next seed that we are going to see is alyssum. Let me take this alyssum pastel carpet, and you will have carpet of snow and then pastel mix, and then you have rosy ode variety, and then alyssum royal carpet. So all the seed packets that you see here is 2.49 almost. So this is the alyssum pastel mix pastel carpet. This is one of my favorites that I have grown in the last few years. So if you want to have an immediate impact, as soon as the spring warms up, you want to see some colors in your garden, this is the only, I think, one plant that wish come true. So they just bloom, even like if you just sow them in winter sowing container now, you will see the bloom end of February itself. So that's, and they bloom, they don't really care about how the weather is, like a frost or except I think hard frost. They bloom throughout the season. So once you start seeing this bloom in around February, end of February and March, they bloom until first hard frost. So they survive the first frost also, like light frost don't kill the blooms, and they just be glorifying your garden throughout I think until end of November or early December. They just die only during the hard frost in your garden. So it's again another seed that you want to really give it a try if you are looking for a plant that gives a longer display throughout the season for your garden, as well as comes back every year. So even though they are annuals, I would categorize them as a short living perennial, because they just live 10 months and then they self sow aggressively, but it's not annoying because they just really a cheerful plant. They just grow I think up to 6 to 12 inches, so it's a mounding habit, and you will not see any leaf at all. It's like fully covered with bloom, and a good plant to tuck in for border planting or your container. Amazing cheerful plant, I would say. And I have not tried for cut flower because I always use tall flowers for cut flower arrangement. But if you are making a mini smaller version of your cut flower arrangement, I think you can give it a try. But I have never used this for cut flower arrangement. But it's a wonderful plant if you want to use your annual containers to fill some gap, or if you want to tuck in them within your raised bed where you some ugly looking gap within your flower bed. They just start immediately. Within 30 days you will see the bloom. So wonderful plant if you are beginner gardener to try out a new plant this year. Next we are going to take a look at the bachelor button, and you have different varieties. Blue boy, so it's just only the blue color, and then cyanus double mixed colors, and then you have polka dot mixed color. It's more of a different bloom structure and variation within the bloom, and this is plain colors but different colors. So let's take a quick look on these bachelor button plant profile. Grows up to 16 inch. Honestly, it's I think it grows more than that. Maybe I have to check if it is blue boy, but all of this bachelor button I have grown, and they are wonderful joy for starting your spring. If you sow them in fall, or if they self-seeded from the last year, you will see the bloom as early as the end of April or early May. So that's a wonderful gift for any gardener who doesn't want to do a lot of work during the cold months around February, March. But these guys just do amazing, and they just start their growth and then they just start blooming end of April or early May. I couldn't remember exactly, but one of the earliest blooming annual, and they just go beautiful, enhancing the garden. If you have a rose garden or any other garden that blooms around May and June, this is a good companion plant. This is again another plant that does not require fertilizer, no pest, no I think I have seen some pest, honestly, like some black color pest, but once I think I have seen the last 4 years of growing bachelor button, and when I sprayed them with BT spray, which is an organic pesticide that I use for my overall garden, and they just recovered. But it's not a big damage. But if you are using for cut flower, just take a close look, and if you see any pest, make sure you spray them with any organic pesticide so you don't take any pest inside your home. Again, as I said, it's one of the easiest growing flowering plant, and this is even though it's annual, I would say it's similar to Rebecca, yarrow and the gold dust. Even though it's an annual, you will see them come every year from the last year's seeds, and you don't really need to do any effort after you plant once, and they just come back every year to give you abundant joy in your garden with this little cute flowers with the different colors. And they are pretty tough flower. When I say tough flower, they stay great in your vase for longer time, and they are amazing for if you make a dry flower. And I have tried a couple of dry flower arrangement with this, and they just retain the true color. Even for 2 years or 3 years now, I think I have in my indoor, and I still see the beautiful color of this bachelor button as you see in the cover. Another pretty interesting feature is finch bird. They really feast on bachelor button. Last year I have to take off these plants for some reason, but the year before I had like thousands of finch bear coming to my yard after I planted this in my border plant. So this is an amazing, easy to grow annual flowers, and that comes every year with less effort. Next we have columbine, whatever you want to call it out, I call them columbine. So this is another aggressive self-seeder, and it's a perennial. This is one of the best perennial flower if you want to enjoy different bloom structure, bloom color, and delicate blooms, and that goes with any garden that you have. So let's take a quick look at the plant profile. Plant height is 24 to 36 inch, so it's a pretty good size. Again, this is similar to Rebecca. You may want to tuck them in between the raised bed garden or in between the back side of the garden if you have a small gardening area. It's not a very small size, definitely it's a medium size plant. Look at the bloom, guys. It's a pretty delicate, and you will have a different kinds of bloom structure. The other one you have is the dragon hybrid mix, and this really interesting bloom structure you will see. And this is, again, as I said, it's a self-seeder, so once you plant them you won't really need to spend more time. They will come back every year, and I have seen this plant is the toughest plant of all. I have spoken in terms of winter hardiness because leaves stay green, and the plant itself looks as a mounding green bush kind of stuff. Even if you don't have a bloom, you will really enjoy the plant itself. It's a pretty nice kind of a heart shape or flower shape leaf, so I really enjoy entire plant itself including the bloom. And the leaf is with a lime green color, so that's a again pretty interesting feature if you want to add them in between roses or in between any other dark leaves. The plant and the bloom, everything is a pretty interesting structure. You will enjoy this entire plant. And another interesting thing is they die around end of December, January, and they come back I think end of February. The sprouts start a new growth. Itself looks like a bloom, actually kind of a rosy structure. I'll try to see if I can find a good clip from my garden, but I really love every stage of this plant, and you will enjoy this plant almost 10 plus months with whether there's a bloom or not. This plant is a pretty nice gift for any beginner gardener. You don't have to deal with any pest or any fertilizer. They just do fine in any soil condition. Alright guys, that's it for today. Hope you guys liked watching this video. I'll see you in another video. Please support my channel by subscribing, commenting and sharing it with your friends.